Donald Trump's financial filings are raising massive red flags. Not only that, we're seeing massive failures in other Donald Trump entities. I'm going to discuss what went down. First, let's talk about the red flags in his financial filings. Trump Media, the parent company of Truth Social, reporting that for the first quarter of 2026, they only had sales of $871,000. And when you look at what their net loss was for the first quarter of 2026, $405 million. That's the net loss. I don't know how else you could describe Trump Media, the parent company of Truth Social, as anything but an utter failure. Now, I'm just expressing my opinion. You can disagree with my opinion, but let's take a look at the stock price. Donald Trump loves to say, the Dow this, the S&P this. Okay, well, let's take a look at your stock. How are you handling your business? Your company? Are you thriving? I mean, you have unlimited resources given that you use the Oval Office to do essentially anything you want, not following the Constitution. So how's your business doing? Well, you take a look right here. Right now, it's trading at $8.93. You'll recall that when Trump Media announced that it was going to be going public with this SPAC, it was trading at around $100 or more. When SPACs are initially announced, special purpose acquisition companies, they're usually announced at $10 per share to start. So now it's trading under that at $8.93. So what's the next big grift? That I call it a grift in my opinion, that the Trump Media company is doing. So as it announced this horrible $406 or $405 million net loss, it also is announcing that it will be doing a merger with a nuclear fusion company, or it's going to harness fusion energy. And it just so happens that the fusion company has lots of important dealings with the Department of Energy, and this is going to be the next thing that they jump into, a merger that's going to deal with a fusion company, and Trump Media will become a fusion company. I mean, you can dig into some of the numbers right here, as Max Kennerly explains. So it's an unrealized investment loss because Trump Media is a levered crypto holding company with a small media subsidiary. I think, in my opinion, that's one way to look at it, that it has this Trump Media thing. But what it also did, as Donald Trump's been talking about, making a reserve of cryptocurrency, and Trump said he's going to be the crypto president. But remember, crypto has declined significantly under the Trump regime as well. Trump Media took massive amounts of crypto holdings, and those holdings began at a cost basis, if you look at the numbers here, of $1.131 billion. But today that crypto holding now is worth $766 million. And so you have a major loss taking place right there. If you dig deeper into Trump's filings, they talk about all of his past bankruptcies. Like when you look at some of his, older filings, it goes through all of the things that he's bankrupted or things that have gone out of business, whether it's Trump Magazine, Vodka Airlines, Steaks, Water, Mortgage, Travel, Game, Casinos, University, Foundations, and I guess now the United States economy. I mean, you can see right here the way this the bankruptcies went down of his casinos. It talked about the Trump Taj Mahal, built and owned by Trump, filed for Chapter 11 in 1991. Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, Plaza Hotel, all owned by Trump at that time, also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1992. THCR, which was founded by Trump in 1995, filed for Chapter 11 in 2004. Trump Entertainment Resorts, the new name given to Trump hotels and casino resorts after its 2004 bankruptcy, declared bankruptcy again in 2009. And then it says, well, all of the foregoing, happened. That doesn't mean that Trump Media is going to go bankrupt. Then it goes on to say, here are a number of Trump companies that failed. Trump Shuttles. Then it goes on to say Trump University, It goes on to say Trump vodka. Then it goes on to say Trump mortgage, Trump steaks, go Trump. List all those things I've said. So failure, 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 failure. And let's talk about some other failures that happened recently as well. So you have, the Trump phone. Remember, what was it, last year around June, or was it June or July? They talked about the Trump phone coming out June or July 2025. They said, we're rolling out Trump phones in August of 2025. This was the headline from the New York Times back then. Trump mobile phone company announced by Trump's family, but details are murky. The new company says it will manufacture its Android phone in the United States. And it goes on to say that, this was last year, that the family business announced that it will be launching a mobile phone and cellular service. The announcement by Eric Trump and Don Jr., the new $499 gold-toned Android phones would be designed and manufactured in the United States, but it's not clear how or when. It said it would have a $47 monthly cellular service. And it goes on to talk about when they think this will be ready. The company said that Trump Mobile would release its own phone, the T1, in August, the latest consumer product to carry the Trump brand. That's last August, okay? So now we're in 2026. We're in May 2026. And when you look at the latest update on Trump Mobile, let's take a look at that latest update from Trump Mobile so we can all see together. Here's what it says. Meet the T1 phone, premium American-made smartphone. Meet the T1. The T1 isn't just another smartphone. It's a bold step toward wireless independence, designed with American values in mind. Then it talks about the story behind Trump Mobile, and somehow it honors our heroes. They invoke veterans. And here's pre-order deposit terms and conditions. April 6, 2026. No one's got their Trump phone. And so here's what it says. The Trump Mobile pre-order deposit terms and conditions govern any pre-order, because they sold a ton of pre-orders. I don't know how much money they made, but they could have made tens of millions of dollars in pre-orders of this phone. So here's what it says. By placing a deposit, you acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agreed to be bound by these terms. So what are the terms that you agreed to be bound by? A pre-order deposit provides only a conditional opportunity if Trump Mobile later elects in its sole discretion to offer the device for sale. A deposit is not a purchase, does not constitute acceptance of an offer, does not create a contract for sale, does not transfer ownership, does not allocate or reserve specific inventory, and it does not guarantee that a device will be produced or made available to purchase. So when you're buying this, you're actually not buying anything binding. A binding sales contract is formed only if all of the following occur. Trump Mobile makes the device available for sale, you complete checkout, you submit full payment, and Trump Mobile accepts and successfully processes payment. Until those conditions, no enforceable agreement is satisfied. No guarantee or release, delivery, or timing. Estimated ship dates, launch timelines, or anticipated production schedules are non-binding estimates only. Trump Mobile does not guarantee that the device will be commercially released. Regulatory approvals will be obtained. Carrier certification will be secured. Production will commence they're not even guaranteeing that they will commence production or delivery will occur within any specific time frame. Trump Mobile will not be responsible for delay, modification, or failure to release a device due to causes beyond its reasonable control, including but not limited to regulatory review, carrier certification delays, component shortages, labor disruption, governmental orders, acts, transportation, or third-party supply failures. No guarantee of network capability or performance. Device capability, functionality, performance, and feature availability are not guaranteed and may vary materially based on carrier certification, network conditions, regulatory approvals, software or firmware changes, geographic location, and service plan configuration. In other words, as I read it, you may read it differently. I'll give you my opinion. They're saying we don't have to make it. We don't have to give it to you. Give us a deposit. Good luck. See you later, alligator. Goodbye, basically, is what they're saying. Let's check in with how those Trump gold cards are doing. Trump $1 million gold card fails to catch on among the world's wealthy. Remember, Howard Lutnick testified before Congress and he had to admit under oath, finally, that there's only been one gold card that's actually been effectuated. One. Remember, Lutnick and Trump said that there would be trillions of dollars by now brought in because of the gold card, which would replace any other forms of visas, and it would give wealthy oligarchs a path to citizenship. And it would cost, like $5 million? You buy citizenship. And there was so much demand. There was like 50,000 people who wanted to pay $5 million, Lutnick said. And therefore, it was going to bring in trillions of dollars. And remember, Lutnick went on this program and that program. Oh, business is booming. I'm selling gold cards left and right. It's the hottest product out there. Gold cards everywhere. No, we know that only one has been effectuated. And then in terms of just the screening process, so one gold card has gotten past the screening process. Only 165 people have even paid the $15,000 visa processing fee, according to the Department of Homeland Security. And then there was a lawsuit filed against the Commerce Department, against the Treasury Department, and against the Trump regime for using this gold card to violate existing EB-1 and EB-2 programs. And in the lawsuit, the Trump regime was forced to admit that the gold cards are not a way of expediting anything. The Trump regime conceded that you're not going to get any special advantage over EB-1 or EB-2 programs, and that the gold card is just a gimmick, because when they had to go in court and they had to go under oath, they were justifying the existence of this program by saying, no, it actually is not replacing these other programs, which were actually implemented and instituted by laws. So basically, the argument is this is legal because it actually does not provide anything more than what Congress has already allowed. Therefore, it doesn't violate anything, because it's just a worse version of the EB-1 and EB-2 and other visa programs. It's essentially, in my opinion, my reading of it, what the argument is. I mean, how utterly pathetic is that? So the gold cards are a failure. Trump media, in my opinion, is a failure. But by the way, if you read the press releases from Trump media, I should have told you this before, this is how they describe it in the press release, as though they have a strong balance sheet right now. They go on to say, Trump media closed the first quarter of 2026 with total assets of $2.2 billion and financial assets of approximately $2.1 billion, comprising cash, restricted cash, short-term investments, and equity securities. And then it's Chief Executive Officer, the interim, because Nunes is no longer the CEO. Trump media is using its strong balance sheet and positive operating cash flow to continue growing all of our business, even as we work toward advancing our proposed merger with TAE Technologies as quickly as possible. We're identifying new growth opportunities and ways to increase shareholder value. And TAE, that's the fusion company they're merging with. And you look at any of these things that these Trump kids are doing too. This was from this week. The U.S. Air Force agreed to buy an undisclosed number of interceptor drones from a company backed by Trump's sons, according to the firm, deepening the military's ties to defense contractors linked to the Trump family. Don Jr. was at the stock exchange recently, taking a gun company public as Trump's DOJ says AR-15s should proliferate everywhere. no bid contracts flying left and right. I mean, did you learn? We've been talking about this reflecting pool that Donald Trump's talking about. New York Times did an excellent piece on this. The no bid contract that's turning Washington's reflecting pool blue. And the Times discovered that a $6.9 billion no bid contract was handed out to Donald Trump's pool guy, group of people who designed Donald Trump's pool at his Virginia golf club. I have a guy who's doing unbelievable swimming pools, Trump said. Trump apparently gave the $6.9 million to his pool guy, who's never had a federal contract before. They're the ones who are doing this painting blue. And what it also, it's called what's the company? Atlantic Industrial Coatings is what they're calling it. And, one of the issues with this pool is that because it's so big, it's not a pool, it's a reflecting pool. It had lots of leak issues before. It would grow lots of algae because of its size, but painting it blue isn't going to change that. It'll probably accentuate the algae and the leaks even more. And then if anyone knows anything about pools and everything, when Trump drove that motorcade across the pool's surface Thursday night, as people were telling the Times who know a thing or two about, construction, this might have put a huge amount of weight on the notoriously leaky and newly prepared joints in its concrete slabs. And now it actually probably needs a new inspection because you're putting all that pressure on it, which has been past administrations have tried to deal with this issue because the issue is the algae and the leaks. And because it's so hot, it grows this algae, in DC. Painting it blue doesn't do that. So fundamentally, let me make this kind of one final conclusion as I tie this all together. We could talk more about all of the contracts that the Trump kids are getting. We could talk about the billions to Kushner and how the Trump kids have increased their net worth apparently by hundreds of millions of dollars, and Trump's increased his net worth by billions of dollars. This has massive implications on our country and our national security. Just point one, the Trump family seems like they can't run anything. Everything's a freaking failure. They make announcements, they don't follow through. And that's kind of how Donald Trump did this catastrophic war with Netanyahu in Iran. Trump liked epic fury. He liked the name, the announcement. Well, now you got to run a competent war. You got to have not just a beginning, but a middle and an end. And Donald Trump is running the war like he's running the mobile company and like he's running all those failed companies and like Trump Media. If you can't run your own company successfully, how are you supposed to run all this other stuff out there? And I don't think it's getting enough attention. And there's the massive grift. There's the massive scams. There's the massive failures. There's all of that we need to be talking about. But also we should be talking about the parallels to this is how he runs everything. They're losers. They're losers and they're a loser family. I'm giving you my opinion, but these are loser people who don't handle things carefully and with tact. And everything's a gimmick. Everything's a trick. Everything's, in my opinion, a lie, in my opinion. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let me know what you think. There you have it.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.